are very happy at the moment. They've gone on an 18-match unbeaten streak since their 7-1 loss to Barcelona. Absolutely incredible, isn't it, Janelly?
Yeah, I think Bayern is well-deserved top 4 for me in the Champions League. I think since that big loss to Barcelona. I know it's annoying that we keep mentioning it, but it's very relevant because they completely turned it around. Any other team probably would have gone in the opposite direction, but Bayern said, no, we're going to figure it out. They turned it around, and then they beat Arsenal along the way. So I think that's great from them, and now they're in a really great position.
And you can see there, they've scored 90 goals, conceded 20 in all competitions, but 13 of those 20 have been in the Women's Champions League, and the rest have been in the Bundesliga, haven't they, Jem?
Yeah, they've only conceded 5 in the Bundesliga from 16 matches, and it just goes to show the competitiveness of having played just 6 in the league phase and conceding 13. Just the difference from domestic and how the jump. Of course, when you're playing Barcelona off the bat and you concede that amount of goals, those numbers speak for itself. But I genuinely think that was the best thing that could have happened for Bayern Munich, is having that level of a game off the bat, because they've clearly learned really quickly. And I love the attitude from it as well. A lot of players could have their head down or think, OK, Champions League's not really going to be a run for us. We're looking, let's focus on the league. And they have done that. But the way that they've risen to every occasion since that game just goes to show that I think they've got a lot of experience, confidence in the team. I've loved watching the matchup between Clara Bull and Pernilla Harder through the middle. I think the way that they've assisted and scored goals between the two of them, it shows real. I think we saw it in those pictures, just the joy on their faces playing football. I think that shows in what we've watched. They've been brilliant.
Yeah, and they have a 12-point lead in the Frauen-Bundesliga. Do you think that gives them a big advantage going into the quarterfinals of the Women's Champions League? They can kind of focus on this now.
Absolutely. And Wolfsburg does have 2 games in hand, the weather having 2 games postponed for them. But I just think in maybe a similar way to Chelsea being very pleased that they're avoiding this phase of the competition, Bayern would be feeling the same. But I'm very curious now, with Wolfsburg having such a tight game today. It all comes down to next week. Can they really afford to be so invested in both of those competitions? It probably is Bayern's to win again. But for me, in the Champions League, they have completely redeemed themselves. I hate thinking back to that game against Barcelona. So I do think, though, that a matchup against Man United, if today's result stands, is intriguing.
What I love about teams in this kind of situation, because the whole cliche in football, I'm sure you guys have all said it, you just focus on your own game, you focus on what's next. Absolutely not. Teams that are not in this round are watching every single team that they could potentially play. They're sit back watching, thinking, right, we'll focus on the league, but who are we going to bet? Who are we going to be playing up to next? Of course, all the analysts will be doing the exact same thing, but you're watching these games thinking, right, who are we going to get? I can't wait for those games.
Yeah, for me, Bayern is, I chose them as my dark horse for a reason, because I think they have the potential to be just as good as Lyon and just as good as Barcelona. I really do believe that, because of the quality that they have in Clara Bull, in Harder, in Caruso, in the midfield, Vanessa Gilles in that back line, the Canadian international. She's back healthy and fit now. They can be. I don't know if they're going to do it. They all have to be on the same page and be on the same page moving forward. But they're my dark horse for a reason.
How far do we think they can go in these competitions? It sounds like you've got them
She's got them in the final now.
No.
What happened to that bracket yesterday?
They would, I think, eventually be up against Barcelona if they make it to semifinals. That's going to be really tough for them. But I think they can surprise.
I can't wait for that pre-game before that game if that is the tie.
How far do you think they can go, you two over there?
Over here.
I still have Barcelona beating them. It is different styles of play coming up to match each other, but I just think that when I think about the Bundesliga and this historical competition between these two giants, that Bayern, by doing so well, they'll become even more attractive to players when they're choosing a team if they want to go to Germany. So it's kind of, how does Wolfsburg close that gap?
Yeah.
But I'm not quite there with Janelly, but I support the girls. I want them to go as far as possible.